Lucifer cunningly convinced 1/3 of the spirits destined for Earth to fight with him in revolt. Thus, Lucifer became the...
So, here's the thing about that. Go ahead and pause to read this, please. This little... Thank you. So this is going places, but before it does, one of you had sent me, and gosh, it must have been 6 months ago, a video that you had of, you know, what they used to show kids, basically what's going to happen if you were worthy and you get into heaven and they walk through this archway. But walking through this archway, like, turns them from whatever to looking like they were dipped in whiteout. And I cannot find it, and I really wanted it for today. So if you are here, comment, because I have ADHD and I'm disorganized and I can't find it. So in a nutshell, there's not going to be any people of color up there because when they walk through that arch, they become white. And I always have a bunch of Mormons who come in and argue about this. Seriously, you got to look this stuff up. And I wish I had that video so I could just be like, "Pow!" But I don't. Typically when I say that, a lot of people come in and they're like, no. They mean when you walk through that, you're going to become pure. No. That may be what they're like saying now, but no, the original translation and everything the way it was supposed to be is, yes, you did become pure by becoming a white person. On a personal note. How? But that is just in a nutshell. Let's talk a little further so that we can get a little deeper. And this is me in a nutshell. Fuck. I saw this article, and while not relevant to what we're doing here, I just thought it was a really good example of the cognitive dissonance. Oh, yeah, no, for sure. No, for sure. That is not, no. That's why you always have to, and I always tell you guys, ask the questions. Get them to tell on themselves, because if you say, hey, are you? Of course they're always going to say no, because they genuinely think that these really jacked up thought processes aren't that. So get them to explain it to you, and then you can be like, Also, to read this, y'all, okay, so there's one dynamic that kills me, is I've seen that, Brigham Young is basically made out to be the boogeyman who did everything back. Nah, Joseph Smith wasn't too hot on them. Also, Brigham Young just took it that extra step, but this grew out of that because you know what? Here, I'll let them explain it to you. Moroni.
Yes, I am Moroni. I am a Native American.
A Native American? But your skin is white.
Yes, long ago all Native Americans were white. We all came to America from Jerusalem, and while we were here, we were visited by Christ.
Jesus lived here in America?
Yes, eventually my people were all killed by the other tribe of Israel, and as punishment, God turned their skin red. These are the Native Americans you know today. Dum 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 dum.
So, trigger warning like a mug. Okay, so with that one, that's terrible, right? Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. A lot of this is based in really, really horrible stuff. So then we've got that. Now let's get to why they think our other friends, because you saw that mark of Cain, curse of Ham business. Well, let's watch this. And serious trigger warning.
Thus, Lucifer became the devil and his followers the demons. Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin.
Pause to read. So this was put out this is Declaration 2, and this was put out in 1978, wherein God came and was like, hey, you know what, actually, my bad, you guys can have the priesthood, that's fine with me. For being an omnipotent being, he sure does change his mind a lot. Like, didn't he see any of this coming? So now we need to move up a little bit to the mark of Cain, the curse of Cain, depending on which place you're coming from. But this is actually a very, very common belief and was a commonly practiced belief, especially in the Jim Crow South, because they used these Bible verses as biblical authority to own people. I just want to keep that in focus. That wasn't just a lot of people believed this. Maybe I shouldn't go too past tense because there's a lot of people that still believe this. But before we get there, this is the Garden of Eden. It is in Jackson City, Missouri. The name right there, Adamondi Amon. It's very nice, very pretty. Bet you didn't know that was here. So basically, they believe when all that happened, Jesus came here because, yes, he was originally from Palestine, but in their theology, everyone in Palestine was also white because back to the purity thing. Side note, I know this video is really long, but there's just a lot to it's just so much, and on it's just this one subject. Bloop. Pause to read. So if you're not familiar with that Bible story, Cain and Abel were brothers, and they had a little bit of a sib rivalry that God literally started and fueled, as did their parents. But you know what? That's fine. So Cain decides, you know what? Because he's a little bit jealous. But then God's like, hey, bro, dude. And he's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, that. that. Ugh. And so he puts a mark on him so that everyone will know that he's cursed because of what he has done. And that would follow him, his descendants. They would all be just, you're born, you're going to hell. There's no redeeming. Pause to read. Now we get to Noah, the Ark Man himself, I swear to God. If you understand that joke. Yeah. So Noah, they've just departed from the ark. They're trying to get their lives together, and they're like, okay, you guys, let's just behave, have a good time, whatever. But Noah didn't take his own advice because he had planted a whole winery, and he was like, oh my God, I'm gonna partake. And he got super drunky pants and fell asleep in his tent. And then Ham, one of his sons, walked in and saw him naked, and instead of covering him up and being honorable, he went and got his other brothers and was like, guys, look what Dad did. He's so silly. And for that, his line, him, everything, they were cursed for all eternity to have to serve everyone else on earth. That seems fair. And I remind you, this is a widely held belief to this day, and not just in this place, but that was the Bible verse that was used to justify literally owning people. Pause to read. I just included a little bit about it, yep. I think I love this article so much just from the first line. As stories go, this one has all the elements of good soap operas. Nudity, adult cuddles, and dysfunctional families. You knew what you were doing. Now, of course, in modern day, I think 90% of people who have brain cells know that that was just a bunch of really bad people justifying hurting people. But now, the mainstream LDS church is not down with that anymore since 1979. And when they declared that they weren't down with that anymore, look what happened. The Fundie groups, which, what does that say there? Is that, Owen Allred, the leader of the Apostolic United Brethren. Yeah, because most of their ranks are made up. The biggest surge that they'd had in recent years were people who didn't like that black people were going to be allowed to have the priesthood because they felt that that was taking away the ability to have the priesthood at all. So they view the LDS church, the Fundies do, as not having any type of authority in any biblical thing, and their prophets are false prophets, which is kind of funny because they're all false prophets, If that church sounds familiar, this is the Church of the Sister Wives. And I know what you're saying, well, they got excommunicated. I don't actually think that's true because they hang out with a lot of people that are still from the AUB, which generally, once you leave, you're gone. These people are not above lying about some really hardcore stuff. So would they lie so that they didn't have to be in the spotlight, even if Cody was still part of their church? Of course they would. Remember, is Gocha.
Spirits that fought most valiantly against Lucifer would be born into Mormon families on planet Earth. These would be the lighter-skinned people, or white and delightsome, as the Book of Mormon describes them.
And then, people, right now it's different. It is different in the Book of Mormon. And people are like, oh my God, well, I got this book right in front of me. Yes, it was changed for about 3 years between 1837 and 1840. In 1840, it was put back in there as white and delightsome, which it stayed that until 1981, where it was changed to pure and delightsome. And people are usually like, oh, that's what they meant at first. So they couldn't change it over the course of 100 years? Okay, sure. And then on the other side, that was not changed until 1981, and they gave black people the priesthood in 1978. How awkward was that? But if you break down the history, it's like a lot of other religious groups. When they start having problems with the outside world that's going to cost them money or parishioners, then all of a sudden, they get a revelation, and it's cool, it's okay now. God called on the God phone. Next time he calls, could you get him for me? Because he and I have some things to discuss. I just thank you in advance. I'll wait.
From the beginning of this dispensation, Joseph Smith and all succeeding presidents of the church have taught.
I did have to cut it just a little bit because he says a word there that no Persians would ever say. So then let's just continue. Sorry.
While spirit children of a common father and the progeny of our earthly parents, Adam and Eve, were not yet to receive the priesthood for reasons which we believe are known to God, but which he has not made fully known to man.
Any change would come in a revelation through the church president.
From the Lord Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't you know it? 5 years later. So that was a hell of a long answer for that question, but it's a lot of questions. So we are actually going to go into that cartoon that I put excerpts of in some other videos and other series next week or the week after or whatever. But that is why, because before God started zap, 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 everyone was supposed to be white.